Well, I better make a decision. I better make it fast. Alright, what is going on, my dudes? Yes, it's true. You can finally stop yelling in the comments section. Karate Mike is finally going to be taking his Ultron up to rank 3, as you can tell from the title and the thumbnail and the overall vibe of the video, right? So, this is a live rank up that people have been requesting for quite a bit. And listen, in the past, I've been very vocal about not loving this guy, despite how good he is. But one thing I always said, when they fix the bug with his special 3, and he can no longer stack those cauterizers like that, I'll take him to rank 3. And hey man, I'm a man of my word. We're 2 weeks into the build already. He's been clean for 2 weeks. So I guess we gotta take Ultron up to rank 3. And now, man, jokes aside, I actually am pretty excited to finally get this guy up to rank 3. You know, the tech class has received a absolutely massive boost over the past year or so at this point. I don't know at this point, but ever since, I believe it was Howard or Vulture was the first like good tech buff. And it was like Vulture, Howard, War Machine, and Ultron all in a row, right? The Nebula, lots of just great tech buffs rolling around, man, you know? And Ultron is an absolute freaking beast, man. And a lot of like hardcore Ultron fans, they will say to the people who are super annoyed and mad that the SP3 bug is being fixed, you know, they'll say, you're going to be getting a more efficient rotation than watching the 2-hour and 45-minute special 3 4 times in a fight if you just go for special 2s and special 1s. And personally, I completely agree with that stance. I think that Ultron is an absolute damage powerhouse, and I've used him at rank 2 quite a bit. So I never felt like he needed to be rank 3, but the time has come. Ultron is now up at rank 3, and I am pretty excited to have this guy up there with the rest of my tech roster, which is looking pretty sweet at this point. The only downside is that my beautiful Howard the God has fallen down into the second row of champs, which is definitely an issue. So maybe I'll do him a couple times and he'll go back up. But regardless, man, Ultron is rank 3. This is an ultimate showcase video. We have some ultimate boss fights today. We have some absolutely killer damage, and we have a really fun synergy team for most of this video I am going to be going over right now. So Ultron has a few synergies that he benefits quite a lot from. He's a very, very decent champion on his own, but personally, I don't love him without 1 or 2 of his synergies. And the most important one, in my opinion, is the My Beautiful Meteor one. A lot of people do this with Hulkbuster, but I personally prefer to go for Ragnagod here. You get the same critical rating benefit that Hulkbuster gives as well, right? And I just personally like the champion more. Now, on top of that, the MODOK synergy is very, very good for Ultron here. Triggering function critical also triggers function damage. That is huge. It makes him ramp up quicker and also higher and just better overall. So for the lengthened cauterized from Ragnagod and also more damage here with MODOK, this trio is really, really, really solid, man. This is a very solid trio for Ultron. And on top of that, we can throw in some spice as well to make him even better. A really phenomenal synergy for him is actually with, wow, his PI is very low, huh? Mr. Sinister. Look at this right here. This is the same synergy that Kingpin has. Each time the opponent uses a special attack, they become power locked for 6 seconds. Super useful, super amazing. And then for the last slot, it really depends on what we're doing here, but in general, I like War Machine to throw on those pre-fights, plus I just love to have the champion as well. Now, one downside to this synergy team is that MODOK isn't the best, Sinister isn't the best, and at the end of the day, although I do actually prefer using War Machine, when you're using this team for Ultron, War Machine and Ultron, they do cover similar sides of the same coin, right? Ragnagod definitely has his own niche here as well that separates from Ultron. So if you're just going in for the 2-man squad, you know, Ultron and Ragnagod do a very solid job as a duo, in my opinion. But if you're just doing like a side quest or a cav event quest, this 5-man team for Ultron could absolutely be very well, but I don't see myself bringing the full squad into Act 6 or Act 7 too often. However, to be entirely fair, when I was getting to all these boss fights, I was going through the lane with Ultron. So if you're using Ultron and you only want to use Ultron, hey man, bring the squad along. That's how I feel, at least. It's of course going to depend from lane to lane. If you can do it and you're a huge Ultron fan, if he's one of your only rank 3s, I say, hey man, go for it. But at the end of the day, it's going to vary depending on the content that you're doing. But let's start jumping into some gameplay today, shall we? So up first, you guys know I love fighting 6.2 Mordo, right? And Ultron does an absolutely amazing job here. We have the White Magneto pre-fight going on. We actually don't need this here, to be entirely honest, but it definitely does help. So you're going to see some absolute dominance here by rank 3 Ultron. We are running 5 out of 5 deep wounds, right? And we did replace the War Machine pre-fights here with the White Magneto pre-fight. Now, there are a few different rotations that I typically run with Ultron depending on the fight and what I need, right? And I'm going to go over all of those next, right? We're going to show like 3 different rotations next. But what I typically like to do is go for this. I like to go for the special 2 before I go for any heavy attacks, right? That way my damage over time starts ticking pretty well here. And then I can go for the special 1. Watch this, by the way. The evade. Let's just evade that astral evade. That's pretty darn freaking cool, right? A nice casual 46k heavy attack with the 2 Furies up. Definitely not too bad at all. And he's gonna die here from the bleeds, and we took a little bit of do not go gentle damage, but an absolutely dominant showing from Ultron in the first fight. 48 hits, about 40 seconds. Not too bad at all. Now, we'll go over some rotations, right? Up first, this is going to be your typical SB2, SB1, SB1 rotation. This is about what I do most of the time when I play with Ultron. Now, I'm going to show you the difference between this and doing the heavy attack before the special 2. Again, it's definitely going to depend on the defender, on the nodes, and on the size of the health pool, to be entirely honest, right? So for health pools about this side, I do like to ramp up the damage over time just a little bit, all right? So I'm going to go for the special 2 here after this happens. We're going to try to get about 10 bleeds on him. We had 8 there. Going to go for the special 2, all right? And now, heavy attack, we have 10 bleeds, okay? We're going to go right in, 11, 12, 13, 14 bleeds. And now medium, light, medium. 66k special 1, 30k medium attacks. That's personally how I enjoy playing Ultron. At the end of the day, as long as you're doing something semi-efficient, you can't really go wrong. There definitely are ways that you can go wrong. If you're throwing special attacks without any bleeds or degen on the opponent, you're doing something wrong. However, there are multiple ways to play him, and we're going to take a look over here. And again, this is the team we're running, right? The same one I showed you before. Really fun team for Ultron. The pre-fights from War Machine are definitely nice to have, definitely not needed. But this is going to be a very similar rotation, except the only difference is I'm going to be going for the heavy attack before the special 2 instead of after. Now this is going to make my initial Fury just a little bit larger, right? And I'm going to be missing out on some of the big damage over time after the special 2, which is fine. And again, depending on the health pool and depending on how you want to play the champion, it's going to vary from fight to fight, okay? So what we're going to do here is we're going to go for a heavy attack right here, 11 bleeds, special 2, and as you can see, we're hitting very hard here, and the regular bleeds are ticking for about 4,000 per second, 19k mediums, right? At this point, we're going to stack these up naturally. Go for this. Very nice. Medium, light, medium, special 1, 60k, and a big heavy attack without even a crit, 25k to finish off, right? So as you can see, between the first one, between the second one, you're going to have your opinion, you're going to have your feelings on which one you like to do. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. The results were very, very similar. You just have to go with what you're more comfortable with, and maybe you have to adjust mid-fight, right? So yeah, we're going to do one more rotation here, and this one is just focusing on big damage over time. So we're going to go special 2, special 1, and then heavy attack, all right? We're going to really build up that Fury here. And again, this is very similar, man. The only difference between these rotations is when you weave in the heavy attack, right? That's really the only difference here. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It's just going to come into what you're more comfortable with, what you enjoy playing like, right? And at the end of the day, there's no wrong answer, all right? So here we built up that first special 2. We're going to build up here to a nice big special 1. Come on. Here we go. 6, 7, 8. And that's ticking for about 16k per second now. Check it out. He's just draining. More than 16k when all of them are together. So yeah, the damage over time on this guy gets absolutely freaking nutty, man. Funny enough, that one actually had the lowest hit count because I let the damage over time really tick, but I feel like that was the least efficient of the 3. But again, depending on the matchup, all right? So up next, we have a fun one. This is Havok in 6.3. This is a tough one because he has cornered. So I feel like without the Mr. Sinister synergy, this one isn't gonna happen. Now we do have all of the armor up buffs, right? So that's definitely going to be super duper helpful here, just avoiding all of, you know, Havok's BS. But basically, as you can see, that power lock is really coming in clutch here against Havok because of cornered. But, you know, the theme in this video is going to be, I want to get to a special 2, and then we're kind of good to go. Right? So here, little intercept. Here comes the special 2. Bait out the special 1. And we're going to go for a heavy attack here. It's going to start taking him down, about 7k per second. I'd love to get off a special 1 here if I possibly can. It looks like I can't. We're just playing this one safe, right? Because he's right at 3 bars of power. I want to go ahead and get that power lock on him if I possibly can. Get an armor up buff there, all right? And now, we're going to build back up to the special 2. And as you can see, there's a lot of stuff going on in this fight, so sometimes you do have to adjust if you're not getting the AI on the opponent that you want to get, right? Now I had the evade there, so I actually dashed into that special 2 so I can be a little bit closer to him. I just feel like I need to be closer to Havok, and I feel like it's working out so far, right? Here comes another unblockable special 2, and this is about gonna finish him off here. I'm gonna go for a heavy attack. Ooh, we're ticking very nicely, eating a special 1, but now we're going to heal because we dropped below 50%, but good to go. So that's definitely a tough fight, man. That's definitely a very beefy Havok. I feel like that Havok doesn't get talked about enough. Now, up next, we're going for Mr. Sinister, another really tough mutant boss in Act 6. Now, we did have to take Ultron up to Sig 200 for this fight, all right? My actual Ultron is just Sig 20. This Sig ability here, I don't love using him for like incinerate and shock effects. The you know, the regen potential on the energy damage, that's always very, very nice, okay? But at the end of the day, he can reduce the duration of incinerate and shock by 80%. Now this has caustic temper and other stuff as well, prey on the weak, but a big one is backblast, okay? So it's going to make our critical hits hit harder, and also if they exceed whatever damage cap it is, we're going to get an Incinerate on us, and that Incinerate ticks very, very hard. So we have Heimdall and Angela here to get that Fury buff, all right? Nice, we got a little evade to avoid the dexterity buff for prey on the weak. That's always very nice. So yeah, as you can see, we're getting some of those Incinerates on us, right? And they're ticking okay. They're ticking okay, but when we get a bunch of them, they're ticking a decent bit. Right? So yeah, that's why I'm like, okay, I don't know if I love that ability for like reducing this kind of stuff. It's definitely nice to have. It's definitely better than nothing. But one great thing here about the Ragnagod synergy is that he is permanently passively heal blocked whenever we have a Cauterize up. And if you're playing Ultron properly, you're essentially always going to have an Cauterize up. We fell down to 1% health, but huge shout out to Heimdall for saving our butt there, man. So up next, we're going to go for a bit of a longer fight here. And by longer, it's still pretty short because we start hitting pretty hard very fast. This is going to be Labyrinth of Legends Old Man Logan. About 1.5 million health, give or take, right? So one thing here, right, you're going to be noticing is that against mutant champions, we don't have the bleed debuff. We have a degen debuff, which is great because, for example, you know, Omega Red, you don't want to bleed that guy. Magneto, you don't want to fight Magneto with Ultron in general, but, you know, you don't want to bleed him. Same thing for White Magneto, same thing for Apocalypse, right? There's a lot of guys you don't want to bleed on the mutant class. But one downside, though, is that you don't get the benefits of deep wounds, which Ultron really, really enjoys having 5 out of 5 deep wounds, okay? So I think one thing that would be nice for Ultron is that the degens actually lasted a little bit longer than the bleeds do naturally. That way, you know, you can kind of make up for that difference of not having deep wounds. But as you can see here, even without deep wounds, right, no War Machine free fights here, we are really digging into Old Man Logan here. No special 3 bug, dude. I feel like if I had this fight side by side with the fight where people were going for the special 3 with Ultron, I feel like after, you know, watching the 2-hour special 3 4 times in the fight, I feel like they might be about the same length, man, which I feel like damage per second is a little bit more important and nicer to have than damage over time. Shout out the evade. Nice. I threw the special 2 so I can get the big fury before the stuff fell off, and I knew the evade was going to be there to save my butt. I don't usually love the evade when I try to parry, for example, right there. That's always very annoying to me, but sometimes, man, there are a few times when it does come in clutch, and I do definitely appreciate it when I need it, all right? But yeah, man, long story short, Ultron is doing very, very well against this Old Man Logan, like really, really well. Completely just flushed him right down the toilet there in about 2 minutes, which is definitely really, really solid. Up next, we have a really fun, easy one, and this is going to be Icarus Omega Red in 6.2.3. We're throwing on some of these War Machine free fights just because we're going to toss them on whenever we have them available, right? But in reality, this is a super easy fight. We're a robot up against Omega Red, and also we have Icarus, which is just so much fun, right? So one downside about Icarus here is we do have to throw the heavy attack so that we don't get degened, right? So unfortunately, that makes us throw our heavy attack before we would like to, but not the biggest deal in the world. We're still doing some very decent damage, and we're going to build up to a special 2 here with some Furies, and this is going to do a lot of damage. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. The Cauterized Furies and also the Icarus Furies, they are just... they're adding up very nicely. So up next we have Iceman in 6.4.1, and we brought along our friends Nick Fury and Punisher 2099 to deal with the cold snap in the beginning. Now there is also a heal block node here, but at the end of the day, Ultron's not going to care too much about that. We are a robot, so we are running the suicide masteries, but it doesn't even matter because also we're going to be completely immune to debuffs for the first 10 seconds of the fight, which is really, really nice to have, especially when you go up against, you know, an Incinerate or a Cold Snap, I believe are the 2 debuffs that do that. Might be a Shock, not entirely sure. But this node has Matador here, right? So essentially, I'm just going to go ahead and build up some nice Cauterized Furies, right? And I'm going to be baiting out the special 1 from Iceman if he ever wants to throw it, which it really seems like he just does not want to throw it here. I don't have the Mr. Sinister synergy with me on this one because I feel like it would do more harm than good at this point, because I just do not want him to be low on power. I want him to continually use his special attacks, right? And we're going to chain 2 special 2s here, actually, because of Matador makes it a little bit easier to do so. So very, very nice, right? And we can even go for the special 1, and now we can end it off with a big heavy attack for some nice damage over time, about 15k per second. That was that 3rd rotation against Winter Soldier that I said was impractical most of the time, but sometimes it's going to be very nice to have, as we saw right there. So up next we have 6.1 Sabretooth, man. So this guy is another dude who heals quite a bit, right? There's also Oscillate, all this other stuff. So that passive heal block is going to be very nice in this fight. That's definitely going to be very helpful for controlling this fight. Of course, even without it, we would be able to outdamage this guy very, very, very easily, I think at least, right? Because Ultron does start to hit very hard, well, very fast, all right? So this guy is not throwing his special attacks here. I'm a little shocked even with the Fury up, but here comes the special 2. All right, now he's power locked. That's very nice. But we're going to go for the special 2 right here and immediately chance it into the heavy attack, and those degens are now ticking for about 6k per second. We dove right into that special 1, but it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter because we're a robot and we're bleed immune, so that little special 1 is not going to be bleeding us anytime in the near future. All right, and a nice special 1 is just about going to end this fight here with 1 more, after chaining the 5-hit combo. Very efficiently done by Ultron there. And if we drop below 50% health, hey man, we'd regen right up. Up next is a very interesting one. We have 6.3.1 Do You Bleed Medusa? Now we're bringing along Mr. Fantastic here for a little bit of help, because there's also Buffet. So we have the 3 debuffs up for a few different reasons. Number 1, the Petrify is going to help with Buffet a bit, and number 2, the Siphon is actually going to increase the potency of our bleeds, which is definitely nice. Definitely very, very nice here, right? So a couple of things to look out for here. One of them, of course, is Buffet. Another one of them is Explosive Armor. And another one is, that's pretty much it. That's what we're looking out for. And of course, if we happen to eat like a special 1 and the 2 medium attacks by Medusa, we're just done, because we would get Armor Shatter. But what I actually want to do here is go for the special 2. And that's ticking kind of nice. But now, with the Big Furies, I want to go for a nice heavy attack. And now we're ticking for about 12k per second from that, 2.4k from the other ones, right? We're doing pretty good here, I'd say. We're staying in the game. The heal block just fell off, but that is okay. The Mr. Fantastic debuffs are now gone, but that is okay, right? Boom. Knock her down, knock her back. All right, every time we parry, we're gonna get a buff for Buffet, but that is okay. And at this point, one more special 2. Here comes the regen, gone from Buffet, but that's all right, because this is gonna tick her down very efficiently. And yeah, interesting fight there, man, between Buffet and everything. Ultron definitely isn't the top option there, but with some synergies, he can definitely get it done. We got one more fun fight here. This is Variant 3 Kang, and Variant 3 is fun because tech champions get their full power in here. And you know, this is a selective time stream, right? So every 20 seconds, Kang is going to get his health back unless he has an Incinerate or a Shock on him, or a passive heal block, which Ultron absolutely has. So we're back to our Mr. Sinister synergy here, and it's very helpful in this one. It allows us to stay absolutely incredibly aggressive against this guy, right? Here comes a nice big special 2, and unfortunately he shrugs off those bleeds, which is very unfortunate, but it's not that big a deal because we're about to go for a heavy attack in just a second here, right? And boom, 43k, 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 and all of that damage over time to boot. Not too bad at all, man. Definitely not too bad at all. Extremely efficient Variant 3 Kang takedown. One of the most efficient ones I've done. Ultron's a bit of a beast. Definitely glad to have this guy up at rank 3 finally. I absolutely hate when he evades when I don't want him to. I hate it so much that it leads me to not want to play him sometimes, but you cannot deny how much of a beast this guy is, even after his nerf, right? So, yeah, man, this guy is an absolute monster. This has been a video that's been requested by a bunch of people for quite some time now, so I do hope that you guys did enjoy it. If you did, do your boy a big ol' favor and drop a big ol' like. Comment what you think about rank 3 Ultron in the comment section below, and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future Ultimate Showcase videos coming to you in the future. But I'll be seeing you around.